What makes you think that now is the moment that learning sciences really can have an influence on future technology development?
What we have seen in the last 10 years is that, on the one hand, of course, technology develops faster and faster. Participative user design, direct contributions of the end users, of the users of technology into the development gets important. One example is Web 2.0. In educational sciences, you have underlying models for what happens when people learn, when humans learn, how they learn best. So I think the role of this science gets important as a driver for new technologies and the design of new technologies. Location-based services are one very prominent example. They take one part of your context, what I call context, and contextualize the information, the services that are available in your current context. The style of interaction will completely change. We will not think of a computer as a laptop or a desktop computer, but it will really develop towards ubiquitous computing. Education in a broader sense, you would have different learning projects going on in parallel. So let's say I would like to learn Italian. The system would automatically give me the translation of this object. This would give me learning situations embedded in a personal context I have experienced. The mobile device is something that will be, at least until we have a complete infrastructure, is very important also for that personal perspective on things. So I think this is a very powerful example of collecting and registering personal experiences relevant for a learning project.
In your speech you mentioned a number of new trends, for instance in the Horizon project. Could you explain one or two of those trends and relate them to educational use?
We get intelligent objects around us, intelligent coffee cups, intelligent books that will know what I've read, where I've read it. In the last 10 years, most popular examples were in the field of museums and cultural learning experiences, where you have physical objects that present a cultural value that can be only experienced when you experience the object. And I think this is a powerful example for learning in a situation that is enriched with a social context, with a cultural context. Who is Steve Mann. He started to use head-mounted displays very extremely, developing into a kind of cyborg, running around, recording every interaction. And of course you might say this might help you to recall later on about what you did on a day, what you learned on a day.
As an example of mixed reality, you give field trips. Could you elaborate a little bit on that example?
Where we used first parts of augmented reality, maps of the area where the field trip was, and the participants moving in the field were in real time placed on these maps.
There's already a lot of highly qualitative content freely accessible.
From the research experience and from the teaching experience here at the Open University, I think we can see, and we did this for different subjects, that if you collect the openly available resources, there is a lot of high quality material available. And I could have the top lecturers of the world and follow their lectures every week. The point I want to make is we have neglected the actual things that make something personal. There I want to move the research to, and how we're doing this already at the moment is we're using tracking information of users in learning environments. We mirror the information in a framed way to the learner, so that the learner takes this information, and the inferencing about how the learner could optimize his own processes is happening with the learner.
The role of games, serious games, to enable personalized learning in the future.
Games are very good examples of how you can use adaptive mechanisms, adaptive feedback mechanisms to keep up the motivation. In educational systems, this is often not done that way. I want to keep the learner keep on learning.
Marcus, the Eiche model will play an important role in your future research.
One channel we have in the whole system is the TV channel. In this case, the entities we have is the TV channel. This could have a taxonomy associated behind it, that it knows that it's about history, what period of time, what level of expertise this is for, and so on and so forth. Secondly, you have the persons. So you would need to enrich the users, first of all, with relationship profiles. So aggregation, first of all, we use the sensor information, we aggregate it around our entities, people and channels in this case. Then we get on the higher level, the synchronization takes place as described in the setting. And the last process, the framing on the content side. So the synchronization or the framing would take place over the identity metadata.
Look into 2020, for instance. What would you think will be taking place then?
When talking about the future, I really like the viewpoint and the statements that Bruce Sterling takes there as a science fiction writer looking into the future. My contribution there can be at the moment is that I think that these core processes I defined in the Eiche model they will be on the research agenda still at that time, because we will see new technologies, all kind of translucent displays, augmented reality stuff. I don't bother. The core processes is the core questions are, how can we make this useful for learning?